The silence is deafening.
I can start. Um,
I don't, I thought I saw Cal talking. I don't hear him.
I can hear you now.
I hear Eric. I don't hear Cal.
Can you hear me now, Mitch?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. My microphone switched. All right. So you talk again just to make sure that you're good.
Testing one, two.
Cool. All right. You're good. Eric, audio test.
Hey everyone, welcome. Damn,
All right. Yeah.
17 people. No, 13 people already in the space, but no, not a lot of retweets. So help us. Drop a comment in the under the space. It helps the algorithm. Retweet the room and invite your grandma and your dog. We're ready for another Wensun show.
I didn't even think about the Twitter piece of it. Smart. How do let me see. I basically become a boomer when it comes to Twitter because I'm such not a fan. I barely know how to use it. Let's see how I share this. There you go. Repost. Hashtags and retweets. Get into the space. Where's Cal? There he is. Just look for the
Bitcoin
purple
moved
lightning bolt.
very curious a few days ago. I don't know if you saw it, Mitch. But it went up from, well, on Sunday, like it usually goes down on Sunday because people try to front run corporations, greedy corporations. But on Sunday it actually went up, touched, almost touched 68,000. And then weirdly on Monday, it went all the way down to 66, and then it recovered, and then it came back, and then it recovered, and right now we're hovering around 67,000. But what I find curious about this is that Sundays used to be a red day, and we're starting to see a kind of pattern break here.
Well, that does, yeah, I mean, that has been a thing. I guess it depends on your time zone because technically my Sunday candle is a small red candle, and then we got the big green boom on Monday. But yeah, I mean, Sunday basically was just like a sideways day. It started going down and it kind of rallied just to close with a small loss. Yeah, this whole move's been surprising to me. When we were testing 60K back on like October 10th, we got that kind of doji candle indecision, but I personally was holding out, figuring we're going to get back into the 50s. And I planned on doing my DCA in the 50s, but Bitcoin said no, no, no. And, we rallied. And obviously, the upside of around 66K, that prior top, you figure would have been some kind of resistance, but no, we blasted through that. That Monday candle got right to it, and then we pushed through it Tuesday. And now, basically, if anything, we're seeing a little pullback to test that as a support, maybe, because that got us up to like 66.5. So, I mean, we didn't quite touch it. Actually, yeah, we got 66.5 on today's candle. It's the low. That's crazy when it's such a small little candle. Like today's candle looks tiny. Meanwhile, it's a 2,000 point candle and it looks tiny from the high to the low. It's wild. Maybe I should start day trading Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like October, it's almost over. Like we only have a week, like 8 days to go. So it's gonna be pretty interesting because people were saying September was gonna be bloody. I didn't see that much blood on the streets. And then people were saying October was gonna be good. I haven't seen such like a lot of bullish momentum and breakouts in general. I mean, of course, we are sitting at a nice level, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like October will be October actually.
Yeah, I mean, what are we looking at?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, green
I feel
candle
like
for the
the
month.
market's in a very interesting position right now because the elections and just general economic sentiment. If you look around and see a lot of people talking about the debt, mounting, and then obviously we're post halving, so it's just kind of a really interesting time, I think, with all these different things converging, a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. And then you obviously have the Fed slowly cutting rates. So, I think from now to the end of the year is going to be a really interesting time with all the different, converging events. Um, I generally feel like we're going to trade pretty flat for a while. That's just my personal opinion. And then, very possible that we see kind of a breakout towards the end of the year. I feel like we usually see those happen kind of in the December range. Things just start to randomly take off. So I wouldn't be too surprised if in December we're trading a lot higher, but from now till then, I also wouldn't be surprised if we're just sideways. But that's just my personal opinion. I feel like there's no real way to know either way.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that looking at the monthly chart, it does look
Yeah.
positive in that,
Yeah, I'm not
right.
taking any risks right now. I'm mainly just watching and holding. I mean, if you really want to front run the narratives and you want to time the market, you're most likely 99% gonna get wrecked. So yeah, I'm not making any moves right now, and I probably don't think I will for the rest of the bull cycle. I'm just gonna wait. I have my target set, and I'm just gonna let my backs ride.
Ride the wave. Keep forgetting I'm muted on spaces. So I was mentioning that I was looking at the monthly chart, and obviously we still have a week left in this month, so anything can happen. But as of right now, you know, we would close, this would be the highest monthly close in over 3 months. So pretty positive when you look at the chart. It I don't know, it looks somewhat positive.
Yeah. And Cal, I know you're a big holder of Rune, and there were some news about it this week. Apparently there's some SEC moves regarding Rune. I don't know if you want to mention what's your take on all of this. Because I don't think it should affect the chart, but you know how people are, and people might just panic because of like trying to front run the market moves. So we might see a dip. What do you think?
Well, first of all, with the SEC thing, I never actually saw if that was like confirmed news. I saw some people talking about it, but I saw it from accounts that I didn't recognize, and I don't remember seeing any official SEC filing. I feel like that would have been pretty big news if it had happened. Um, I also didn't even recognize the name that they said. So yeah, I would say that as of right now, I don't know if that's true news. Um, as Trump would say, I believe that's fake news. Uh, that's the fake news media.
That's fake
So
news.
yeah, I think that could be fake news. And if it's not, if Thorchain is built the way that it's intended to be built, it shouldn't matter. And I'm a believer that it's big enough at this point that even if something like that were to happen, like who exactly are they going to go after? They could obviously go after like JP Thor or like one of the figureheads for Thorchain and Rune, but they the project has gotten to the point where not one, like there is no singular person that has full control of anything. It's kind of at that, it's obviously not as decentralized as Bitcoin, but it's kind of reaching that, more Bitcoin level of decentralization. So even if it was true, I think we could see like a short-term dip, but then it wouldn't matter. Joel's saying that was fake news. It was some other scammy project, not Thorchain. Yeah, I agree with,
Oh,
I saw that, I saw people talking about it, and then I saw that, like the accounts it was coming from, and then I determined that I didn't think it was real. So I didn't really look into it anymore. But like I said, even if you're investing in Rune, I would hope that the risk of, if you're investing in anything, you should know that risk, but especially, with something like Thorchain and Rune, where it's a very easy and fun target for, for both centralized crypto exchanges and for, government and for TradFi. Thorchain is a big threat to pretty much all three of those. So if you believe that something like an SEC filing could really hurt Rune and Thorchain in the long run, then I would say probably shouldn't hold it, because I think it's not a, if, but a when, one of these big players wakes up and tries to either, control it or regulate it in some way. So, I've already kind of looked at that from, a risk perspective as an investor, and I'm pretty comfortable with the state of the decentralization of the project. So yeah, it's not a big deal in my opinion, even if it was true, but it's not true. And then Thorchain in positive news was just integrated with Ledger. So this is something that we've all been looking for a long time. There's obviously been the Thorchain app where you can hold your Rune and obviously use the wallet from there. But then the Ledger, like a big thing that a lot of us in the Rune community have been waiting for, was the integration of Ledger trading using Thorchain as the trading rails. So that was just announced and launched yesterday. And I think this is a huge moment for Thorchain. My thesis as an investor in Thorchain has always been that Thorchain is going to be the backbone of crypto trading, a very significant volume or percentage of the total crypto trading volume. And you're not even going to know it. Like, it's going to be centralized exchanges. It's going to be apps like Ledger. It's going to be a lot of these other bigger projects like Shapeshift that are using Thorchain on the back end, and you just don't even know it. But it's, Thorchain is just such a superior way to move assets across chains. So that's been my thesis for a very long time, and why I'm an investor. So the news of the Ledger integration is really huge and positive for the ecosystem, in my opinion. And it's also, if we want to kind of tie this all back to Leo and get into Leo stuff, Leo's on Maya. Maya's very heavily connected to Thorchain. And what's positive for Thorchain and what's positive for Maya is also positive for Leo as an asset getting out into the world. So, as these two protocols build up their liquidity and build up their connections and all the apps that they're available on, we are also benefiting from all that. So, we kind of hitched our wagon to a really good horse. So, like this Ledger integration being an example, now Leo could be traded through Ledger Live. So it's like we automatically get these integrations just because we're connected to the right ecosystems. So I think it's a huge positive. And then you've obviously got Leo Dex, which I think we should get into because there's some big updates coming with the Dash integrations. So we're kind of, I think that Leo has been positioned in all the right places, and you can see that over the last, kind of 2-3 years, that's what we've been doing, is just moving Leo's position around the board, making sure that we're in the right places for, the right, environment, both from a market standpoint and from a technical standpoint, and really just positioning the Leo token in a positive way.
yeah, and it all leads into what you were mentioning a week ago, that one thing is to have the technology and to have the user base and to have, your own community, your hardcores that help you spread the word, that help you, get adoption. And another one, which is a different type of adoption, is when you have the technology and then you offer that to other communities, to other platforms, to other entities to use it, get users themselves, and grow together. So it's part of a mix of having, for example, we have the Lions on INLEO, we have the Lions on LeoDex, and at the same time, we have that potential growth with Maya and indirectly from Thorchain. And the more entities use this technology to grow themselves, they will grow the ecosystems that we are connected with. So it's part of a, I don't want to say a two-way street, but it's like a multi-street strategy to grow and to just keep expanding the LeoVerse.
Yep. Maya said, where does Maya come in with all this Thorchain talk? Well, Maya is a friendly fork of Thorchain. They're also connected to the Thorchain, essentially ecosystem of assets through the Rune cacao pool. So really, as Thorchain grows in terms of liquidity, Maya is able to tap into all that liquidity. I think the best way to look at it, and I think the way they self-describe everything as well, is that Maya is for the long tail. So, for smaller assets like Leo as an example, bringing the long tail to Thorchain's ecosystem is kind of what their specialty is. And then obviously adding other features and app layers, lending and other things like that. Where Thorchain is kind of meant to be like the Bitcoin, like unchangeable, kind of big unmovable project and protocol. Not that it doesn't change, but just that it's slower to change and it's more security focused. And then Maya is meant to be kind of, in my opinion, a more flexible, quick changing and evolving protocol where they can, essentially be like a sandbox for developing new things, and bringing them to market, and then providing, a way for long tail assets to tap in. So, that's personally how I see Maya and Thorchain kind of fitting together as someone who holds, obviously has been an investor in Rune for a very long time and now is holding, cacao and an LP in the Leo cacao pool. I think that Maya has a really interesting place in the market as Thorchain succeeds. Task said the best way is to position oneself as infrastructure for other platforms. That's what Meta is doing with making Llama open source. It positions them on many other platforms. Yeah, I mean, the whole Llama conversation is a little bit different because, what they're essentially doing is they're removing competition. So, right now, like you've got OpenAI just kind of leading the charge, but by open sourcing Llama, what Meta is able to do is actually take all the competition out of the market, because by going open source, you're now allowing all the developers to use Llama and prefer it in a certain sense. Like for example, we were going to use ChatGPT and the OpenAI APIs, and then switch over to Llama because it's all open source. And honestly, it's catching up very quickly. And I think it's going to end up being superior because of all that open source development. So Meta's strategy is basically to destroy OpenAI by being actually an open source project, and just removing the ability to compete. But yeah, I agree that infrastructure is a really good thing. I think, I think there's a lot of things that we're doing that are infrastructure based as well, that kind of position us nicely for the Hive ecosystem, especially with the Dash integrations and whatnot, building out this infrastructure that I don't really think any other team on the blockchain can do, and making it work seamlessly and really well, puts us in a nice position as well. Andersino mentioned LeoDex, so that's a good example of infrastructure. So, there's only one way to trade Hive across the Maya protocol and then by proxy the Thorchain protocol, and basically trade Hive into other L1 native assets, and that's through LeoDex, and also through the Leo token. So that is literally the only way to do it, and it's because of the infrastructure, but it's because of both the infrastructure and the networking connections that we've built that's even possible. So again, like, I think that goes to Task's point, which is that we've built this infrastructure that can be used for things like trading, Hive into other L1 native assets. And in order to do so, you actually have to use LeoDex and go through the Leo, token bridge in order to do so. And some of the updates we're working on are just going to make that even better. And we're going to automate a lot of the process, and that stuff is all coming with the Dash integrations because it's really necessary to not only fix those things, but actually just make them, kind of like the V2 of what we started with.
Yeah, bipolar 95, like a symbiotic relationship, Maya Thorchain Leo. Yeah, I mean, you could call it like that. In the end, we are using the Maya rails to give the Hive ecosystem an in and an out from the token, which allows the Leo token to become sort of like a liquidity token for the Hive ecosystem to get to EVM and Bitcoin without having to go through centralized exchanges, which is something that a lot of people are becoming more wary about. So yes, as Maya grows, Leo grows, and as INLEO grows, we potentially get more users that can use LeoDex and the Maya rails to trade their crypto, to swap their tokens. So yeah, you could call it like that.
And I mean, Leo Dex, obviously, people can get HBD because that's going to be. I was thinking about this yesterday when I was thinking about like subscribers and just, people's motivation to, build a um, subscriber base. And then, what roadblocks there would be to that in terms of just, user access. And then obviously, users need access to HBD, which, for someone that just uses like Leo Infra and signs up, through Twitter and doesn't have a relationship or experience with the Hive blockchain, I thought about how HBD and getting HBD may prove difficult. And Leo Dex is one avenue that solves that problem, I guess. Um, can we? I think the answer is yes, right, Cal? How easy is it for someone to swap? Well, no, okay, so yeah, you have to do a Leo, and then you can swap a Leo for HBD. All right. I mean, the barrier is not too bad. People still have a bit of a learning curve, but um,
Well,
that at least
LeoDex
gives
automates
them.
all of that. So you would just input HBD, or like if you want to buy HBD, you'd input whatever, Bitcoin, and then output HBD, and then hit swap.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I was
and
just
then it
thinking
just
more
goes
so
on
like
all the back end.
someone exchanging Leo into HBD because you still have to wrap Leo to a Leo, correct?
If you want to do what?
If you want to swap Leo for HBD,
If you want to swap Leo for HBD, that
is that
technically
uh,
not possible on LeoDex.
okay? That's what I
Yeah,
was trying to figure out.
yeah.
If you could wrap to a Leo and then do a Leo for HBD.
Um,
Okay,
no.
but the other cryptos,
Yeah, the other cryptos,
Bitcoin,
and that's kind of the purpose is like Leo's the infrastructure, and then the other assets are meant to be the L1, where
yeah,
you swap. Um,
the crypto community needs to grow though. At the end of the day,
yeah. Well, and LeoDex's volume has actually grown kind of quietly in the background. So it's at like 560K now, in trading volume, and it's like the
nice.
number three or number four, I think probably the fourth, um, on Scan in terms of fees collected. So we're doing pretty well. Um, and I think that we can do a lot better if we automate some things and improve some of the user experience aspect of LeoDex. And that kind of answers Mark's question. He said, are non-Leo people using LeoDex? Yeah, there's I would actually say more non-Leo people are using LeoDex than Leo people. And yeah, Joel, I saw what you were talking about. Um, and yeah, the one click solution for swapping is will solve for that as well. So I actually wanted to do that at the beginning, but then we decided to go for the more like full self custody route where and we talked about this when I was on Joel's podcast, but we kind of opted for the more full self custody route where the user actually has to confirm and click through each action in order to do an aggregated swap from the Hive blockchain to any other asset or vice versa. And the automated solution I want to build, and we are building it with the Dash integration, because we obviously need it for the automation part of the earning Dash part. It essentially what it's going to do is you're just going to one-click send whatever asset you have, and then it will do everything on the back end and then just output the asset that you wanted. So there's not going to be the full multi-step click through module. We are still going to keep that module, but you're going to have to check a box basically to say that you'd rather do it that way than the automated route. So the automated route will be default. And then and then the manual way will be just an option if you'd rather do that and have full control through the whole process. But again, from what I've seen, more people want the automated route because they either cancel it halfway through, they take too long to confirm something, and then it gets stuck. And I just think it creates a pretty negative user experience for most people. So I think the automated way is better. So. Leo to
Nice.
HBD, why is that not possible on LeoDex? Well, you don't need to do it on LeoDex. You could go to like BSwap and do Leo to HBD. So, LeoDex is meant for cross-chain asset trading. I don't. Maybe one day we'll do Leo to HBD, but that would just, in my opinion, not be super logical, and I don't think there's a huge market for it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, yes and no, because think about the subscriber-based model, right? If new users come directly to Leo, right? Like let's say non-crypto people, they come directly to Leo, and obviously like they're earning Leo, and they want to use that Leo to essentially subscribe to people, then that would
Yeah,
be
they can
a
do that on their own. I don't see why we need to automate that.
okay.
I
Well,
just
I'm just trying to think of use cases.
Yeah, I just don't see. I personally, like, I would think that we would build that and see less than $50 a month in volume on it.
Gotcha.
So
Makes sense.
I think that collecting other cryptos is really the key, and allowing other cryptos to be used for purchasing things like that. For example, Dash.
I think that's super smart because I think right now, for the most part, when it comes to user base and, even subscriber base, you still need people that are somewhat crypto knowledgeable. I don't think the demographic is, your average Twitter user that has no crypto knowledge. Bringing them into INLEO is great, but as far as the subscriber piece, because you still have to do crypto transactions. So as that becomes more ubiquitous, then it'll be less of a thing. But because I was really brainstorming this um, the other night. Like I had a 3 hour drive back from the conference and was just thinking about subscriber um, activity and who the user base would be and all that, and what any potential barriers to entry are. And I'm like, really, it's still a crypto user base. So growing that, I think, is smart. And obviously, the Dash relationship is going to help that a lot, and LeoDex is going to help a lot. What you mentioned that things are going on with LeoDex. Is there other updates to share still? And if so, do you want to get those out? And then we can kind of maybe dive back into talking about the subscriber feature of Leo.
The subscriptions feature.
Yeah, I was just saying I didn't know if you had more Leo Dex updates. I didn't want to change topics.
Yeah, I'm just reading through the threadcast, but yeah, the automated thing I think is really the cornerstone of the LeoDex updates. So that's going to get added to LeoDex UI. And then it also serves as the backend for the Dash integrations. So I think that's kind of like a nice little segue to the Dash stuff. Since we're going to be launching the LeoDex update simultaneous with the Dash integration. So what I just mentioned with automating the entire Hive aggregation part of swapping, that a big use case for that is that when Dash people sign up to INLEO, they'll be able to earn in default through Dash. So like they're obviously, when they sign up and log in, their Dash wallet gets connected. So we already have their Dash wallet address, and on their perspective, they're signing in and using their Dash wallet. They're not using anything else. Obviously, on the back end, we're creating a Hive account for them and then tying it to their Dash wallet. So when they choose to earn in Dash, basically what we're doing is we're taking all the earnings that they get on chain, and we are converting them through LeoDex into Dash and sending that dash to their wallet address. So that's why this automated LeoDex aggregation rail is really important, because we're actually going to be just using that to do all the conversions automatically on the back end. And that creates this like built-in volume for LeoDex. So I think one of the biggest use cases for LeoDex is actually just going to kind of be faded into the background as an automated rail for doing these aggregation payouts. And then, in addition to that, when you want to do bigger swaps or you want to manually do any swap on your own, then you go to LeoDex and you obviously do it from there. So that's where I think LeoDex meets this Dash integration in a nice way. So from the Dash perspective, I think what we're doing is really, so I've been working on all the flows for everything. Right now we're working on the sign up flow. And I was talking to Joel about that actually this morning. So, the key, and this has been mentioned a few times, is make it as easy as possible. So everything should be automated. I've also talked about how it's going to be kind of like, it's going to look like a skin. So like when you sign up using a Dash wallet, it's going to automatically change all the payout values to be estimated in Dash. And then it's going to have a couple other visuals on the UI that make it very like Dash oriented. So, doing that in conjunction with having them log in with their Dash wallet, in conjunction with having them get paid in Dash, and INLEO almost will look like it was built actually for Dash. And I think that that's really key. Like when I think about what we want to do with this integration, my mind is thinking like, what do I want the end user to feel when they're using INLEO? And I want these end users, these Dash users, to feel like INLEO was a product created for Dash. And I think that if they feel that way, then we were successful with the integration. And I think that that's just going to be a really valuable kind of thing to remember as we integrate these things. Self-Help Patrol said, is Dash and other coins going to have to hold Leo, or is it not necessary for them? Well, if they want their upvotes to be worth anything, they'll have to hold Leo power, right? So, you can do all these things I just mentioned with the Dash Lite accounts, but at the end of the day, if you don't have Leo power, then your upvote's not worth anything. So that part is never going to change. The end payout, the payouts that you actually get, receive into your wallet, you will just be able to decide if you want them in a different currency than Leo Hive and HBD. You'll be able to, for example, choose Dash, and then it'll be Dash in your wallet at the end of the day. But you can imagine that if 1,000 people from Dash get onboarded and none of them hold any Leo power ever, and they're just upvoting each other and using the platform, like, yeah, the platform will be fun, and they can also do creator subscriptions and stuff like that. But their upvotes to each other won't be worth anything. So there's an economy kind of built in to that.
I have a UI question in regards to subscriber content.
What's up?
So if you have a subscriber creator and they do a subscriber only long form post, where do they find said post? Like, for instance, if I go to my profile and I go to blog, like I see my regular non-subscriber posts, but where do I find my subscriber based posts that I've done?
You can't find those in your profile right now. You can find them in the subscriptions feed. So go to articles, subscriptions, and then you'll
Okay,
find your own there. So yeah,
cool.
there's a profile update coming probably in sometime around December, that I have designed. And I just want to redesign the whole profile page. So I figured it's not worth spending the time and resources to do like a half update now and add subscriptions to it. So yeah, you can just find
Yeah,
it in the subscriptions tab.
all good. Curious.
Yeah, self-help patrols. Yeah, there's no forced commitment, but there is a lot of build, and that's the key, is like you don't force people to do anything. And I've been a big proponent of that. I think there's going to be somewhat of a backlash about the way we've designed this in terms of allowing people to earn in Dash rather than earning their normal like Leo Hive HBD. But I'm a big believer in making it very easy to cash in and cash out of an ecosystem. You don't want to like hold people hostage. That's not a way to increase the value of your assets. So the real way to increase the value of your assets is to give people a very compelling reason to hold the asset and utilize it. And I think that Leo has a lot of built-in utility on the platform, obviously with the Leo power, controlling the amount of rewards you get. And then in addition to that, like I mentioned, creator subscriptions, INLEO Premium, and then the Leo Dex backend rail for converting assets. Those are three ways that the Leo token itself generates revenue by simply having more users. So, in addition to the whole Leo power argument of like, okay, you need to buy Leo, stake it, and then that's what controls how much you earn. That's a whole utility in and of itself. But then you also have these three revenue models that simply increase when there's more users. So, doing any integration, especially something like Dash, where I think we'll get a lot of users, that just builds up the revenue for the Leo token. So if you want to look for how this generates value for Leo as an asset, it's by getting more users and building these three forms of revenue. And then you obviously have the fourth form, which is Leo ads, coming by the end of the year.
That's interesting because it seems like, which is fine because I'd rather have perpetual revenue generating demand, so to speak, for Leo than relying on users because based on all this, it sounds like in a lot of ways it's going to increase that revenue-based demand and somewhat decrease the user-based demand for Leo, which if that is the case, is like I said, okay to me because I'd rather have something that's constant and growing, have as opposed to relying on, the whim of a user base.
Yeah, you want to have built-in value capture models. I mean, that's the thing that most cryptos miss is that they just build something and hope that people will come and invest in it. And I've never been a proponent of that, and I don't think that works. I think you need to build a real business around whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and is that right? I mean, it's when you're talking about, revenue that creates demand for Leo, you're creating a situation where, you have the upside. Obviously, there's no guarantees, but you know, the upside is limitless because the more that revenue grows, the more technically that demand for Leo grows based on the way the model's set up. So I like it. It's got a ton of revenue. So
And there's been these
Yeah, well, you look at, I mean, and INLEO has really been built around this for a long time, which is that you look at these other, Web 2 platforms and ecosystems and how they've built value and driven that value, into their stock or into their, the early users of the platform and shareholders. And they've done so by generating revenue and capturing value from user generated content. So, we're doing something kind of similar to that, and then just adding the blockchain layer to things where it's, decentralized, on-chain, and tokenized. So, tokenizing attention is really the key.
And there's been this ongoing conversation between some people on Hive that say that front ends and dApps should get revenue generators on their dApp so that they stop depending so much on the DHF, the decentralized Hive fund. And the problem is, or the issue is that we have these two types of people who are, one says that there shouldn't be any kind of data gathering, etc., things like that, and revenue generation because we are supposed to be completely Web3 and we are supposed to be like not go down the traditional Web2 revenue models. But there's another group that says that we need revenue models. So there's this conversation right now going on, and the only thing that we can do is to prove that these revenue generators can actually bring in more value to Hive than what all of these people are arguing about, how we should stay orthodox in the way that we operate. But this is my personal opinion. The competition is so fierce out there in Web3 that if if INLEO doesn't go down this route that we're going and that is working, there will be no adoption. So we're going down the correct route. We're going down the right path, and we will show the non-believers that instead of extracting, INLEO actually brings in value to the Hive ecosystem, and we're actually growing it.
Yeah, we're growing it in terms of users. And then I think a good point that you're making, Eric, is that, while many are not only, extracting value because they need to obviously pay bills, and you don't pay your bills with Hive, you pay them with other cryptos or fiat or whatever. By us generating revenue, whether it's through Leo ads or premium or creator subs, or Leo decks, we're taking all that revenue and we're buying the Leo token, and the Leo token has a liquidity pool with Hive, and it ultimately is it's an L2 on Hive. So I think from a very fundamental level, as Leo increases in value in the long run, being that it's a second layer on top of Hive naturally absorbs that value as well. So, if we're generating $50,000 a month in revenue from premium creator subs, Leo decks and Leo ads, that's $50,000 a month that's flowing into the Hive ecosystem through the Leo token. So any business on Hive needs to be generating revenue. And if you're not generating revenue, I don't think you're a business, you're a charity. So, I've never been in the charity business of things. I've been very focused on how can the Leo token, how can the INLEO platform grow in terms of users, and how can the Leo token capture value from that growth through revenue. Ahmad Manga said, what wallet types can log into INLEO in theory? MetaMask Lite wallets are easy to integrate, but I'm not sure about coins like Bitcoin. Yeah, actually, if you go back in time, we did have a MetaMask integration that I eventually pulled back just because it wasn't getting used very much, and it was more of a headache to operate than anything else. I think we had a lot of other things to solve for. So at some point, I do want to roll that back into production so that people can log in with their MetaMask wallets again. So in theory, any wallet can be used to connect to INLEO, as long as really two things are in place. One, we need to be able to have the user broadcast a message onto their blockchain. So, for example, let's say it's MetaMask and Ethereum. We need the ability, and we had this before, where users would use their MetaMask wallet to broadcast a signature onto the Ethereum blockchain. And then we were reading the Ethereum blockchain, looking for that signature from that specific wallet address, and then tying it to a Hive account. So if those things are in place, then we can use any wallet technically. So that's kind of how we're planning to do this Dash integration. It will basically be you're broadcasting a signature from your Dash wallet. We're using that signature and we're using that signature to authenticate that you own both the Dash wallet and the Hive account that you're logging into. So the signature is really an authentication. It's you telling us, hey, I own this Dash wallet, and I'm broadcasting the signature from the address, and only I can do that because I hold the private keys. And then once we see that, we're able to then log you in or send assets or whatever with your corresponding Hive account. Tess said, if you're not generating revenue, it's a hobby. Yeah, I agree. And you may not be generating a lot of revenue. And this has been a point for me for a very long time. Like premium right now is generating about $1,900 a month. So sometimes obviously you need to scale your revenue in order to be a sustainable business in the long run. But sometimes it's about just making something, just getting your toes wet, and then being able to scale from there. Because once you've built a model where you can generate revenue, then you can find ways to scale up and generate more revenue, at scale. So, I think the dangerous thing is that there's a lot of cryptos out there, especially, but there's like a lot of businesses and platforms out there that are generating $0 in revenue. I mean, they literally have no forms of revenue they're not even generating $1. So their burden becomes, how do we go from 0 to 1? How do we go from making nothing to making anything? And I think the key difference for us is that we've always been generating something. Our burden is not how do we go from 0 to 1, it's how do we go from 1 to 100, and start generating revenue at scale versus just meager levels of revenue. And really, you look at premium and creator subs and eventually Leo ads and Leo decks, we have these forms of revenue already being generated, and you can just take that as a function and multiply up the user base of INLEO and say, okay, well, if we 10x the user base of INLEO, will revenue 10x proportionately? And in my opinion, it not only will scale proportionately, it will actually scale exponentially. And a big reason for that is just general network effects. For example, being premium in a platform that is smaller with less users is not as valuable as being premium on a platform that is 10 times bigger with 10 times as many users, 10 times as much content, 10 times as many potential creator subscriptions that you could capture. So you can kind of see how, with INLEO being such a network effect based platform, having more users actually just makes it even more valuable to do these paid tools, like premium, like creator subs, and you even look at Leo ads, like it's just a really logical thing. Like if we have more users, other platforms and businesses are going to be more incentivized to advertise with us. And you guys already know this, but the ad model that we've built is a bid-based system. So the more that other people want ads, the more expensive ads become, which means more ad revenue generated for Leo. So again, it's just we've built a very network effect-based business here. So while the revenue is small right now, the key is that we have the value capture models in place so that when the user base does 10x or 100x, we're able to capture not only 10x and 100x more revenue, but exponentially more just from those network effects. Self-help Patrol said, it's the self-sustainability and the win-wins that made me buy 120,000 Leo. Yeah, it's awesome. That makes you a whale on the platform, and your upvote is probably worth a lot. So yeah, it's something that a lot of people miss, which is that, while a platform like INLEO is generating small revenue, it's revenue that we can then scale with a larger user base. Stevenson said, how did we generate revenue before creator subs and premium? Leo ads was primarily the way. We've also scratched a lot of other itches in terms of revenue. So Leo ads was a big one. What else have we done over the years? Leo shop. We had Leo decks, the previous version, which was a trading interface for Hive, and that actually generated decent revenue, but nowhere near what Leo decks for multi-chain can generate. Joel said, this is why we need to get the Dash community on here. We need volumes. Better have a bunch of users cashing out on Dash than for INLEO to go broke and Hive loses entirely. Well, yeah, you need, at the end of the day, a platform like INLEO, we need users. Like, users are our lifeblood. So if we don't grow in users, then we're going to die. It's like I said, premium's generating like $1,900 a month. Leo Dex is generating obviously a very more like a much more volatile amount of money, a couple $100 a month. And then, Leo ads hasn't been relaunched yet, but when it was live, it was making a few $100 a month. And then creator subs has just gotten started. I haven't looked at what it's generating yet, but it's generating, small potatoes numbers because we make 5% on each subscription. And I think there's probably about 100 subscriptions or so out there. So we've got basically these small revenue models, and it's like I said, if we 10x the user base, it's not only going to just 10x what we make now, it's going to be much more than that. And I think that Dash, one thing I really like about this integration is that I think INLEO has built a really cool social media platform in terms of features and usage and usability. And then we've also built these value capture models. And I think Dash has the brand recognition and user base that we need to kind of pair up with in order to be successful. So, INLEO does not have the brand recognition and, it doesn't have the user base to be highly successful. But we do have the technology and, the product in place I think what we're doing is we're kind of marrying the best of INLEO and the best of Dash, which is, that branding and that, if you talk to anybody in crypto, they know what Dash is. They've either heard of Dash or even used it before. So I think we have a really good opportunity here, and we need to make sure we don't let it slip, essentially. How can we, and again, going back to the original point, how do we make it so that when a Dash user signs up and joins INLEO, they feel like INLEO is a product built for them, and that it's a good place for them to spend their time and a worthwhile place for them to invest their time in creating content and engaging with content in order to earn Dash.
Stevenson says, I think making the creator subscription price changeable would be great. Yeah, I mean, those are features that come with time. Like Carl said, you have to build the rails and to make them work. And once you have that, then you can start tweaking them.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that creator subs pricing is something that will ever change, to be honest. It's something that I spent a lot of time thinking about, and before we launched it, we were actually going to do 3 different pricing models that you can choose from. But I've ultimately changed my mind on it. And I won't change my mind back unless I'm compelled with good data. But, having a flat rate for all creator subs is, in my opinion, a lot better. You look at like what Apple Music did in the early days where they made all music 99 cents. There's an ease of use to that. And there's an understanding of what that comes with that. So I think it just creates a very wonky experience if like Mitch decides he wants to charge $100 a month, Eric decides he wants to charge $1 a month, and I decide I want to charge $5 a month. It just creates a very wonky user experience, in my opinion. So unless I see compelling data, I'm not going to change my mind on that.
It's funny. I agree with you, even though like personally, I'm, you know, a situation where being able to price, accordingly would make sense. But I still agree with you that ease of use and just $5 flat, because for instance, a value add for me would be, and it's something you actually mentioned the other week, where since I already kind of like do like investor Zoom calls, where I basically part of being my subscriber is you get to join, this group Zoom call, whatever it is. Let's just say even once a month, once a week, where it's just like a mastermind essentially with the ability to just kind of access my 25 years of investing knowledge and or the other people that are in the group. And for that to make sense for me with the current price model, I'm gonna need minimum 25 subscribers, like just to even make it make any sense at all, and then grow it from there. But since it's a quote unquote higher ticket item, so to speak, or higher value, at least in terms of um, general business pricing as it's always been looked at, that form, that outlet, it would make sense for that to be a higher ticket, where then it's just like you can have a mastermind of, let's just say, 10 people, and if everyone's paying $50 a month, then it makes that more worthwhile. And the value's there too, because for $50 a month, being on those Zoom calls where you're connected to people you otherwise wouldn't be connected to. But with all that said, I still like that it's just one price, simple, subscription costs this, and you get access to whatever that person's offering. Maybe some people are offering more value than others, but that's also for the user to decide, because everyone's looking for different things and enjoys different type of content. So yeah, I'm not, as much as I'd like to be able to price higher to do something like that, I also think you are correct with keep it simple, keep it clean.
I mean, I don't want to change Carl's mind because I agree with the price tier, but you could also argue that, for example, platforms like Patreon, they thrive on letting people contribute and get value as much as they want. So there are people who offer, okay, you get access to my I don't know, my exclusive content, so it's just $1. You get access to my videos, it's $5. You get access to a private chat with me and all the other DJs who pay $10. And then if you want to have a conversation with me one-on-one, you can pay $50 a month. I mean, you could make an argument about how that works, but in my opinion, right now, this model works perfectly. If we end up having a million user base, a million people user base, then we can think about how to scale and cater to creators.
Yeah, well, and what you just described that Patreon's doing, that's creating more of a digital shop than a subscription. So I mean, that's like an entirely new set of features that could go live, which is that you can actually just sell like digital products or access of some kind. You know, the creator subscription model is meant to be, you know, you subscribe monthly and you get access to you get access to you know, a paywalled you know, subset of data and content that a creator has built up and that they release every month. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Ahmad Mang is right too. Like, you know, he thinks that it's better for people to be able to choose, and that might be true, you know, at scale. But being that we're a platform with, you know, 1,700 monthly active users, I mean, creating complex systems where basically 10 people can create different, you know, different subscription costs just doesn't make sense. So it's not logical from a scale perspective of things. You know, if we had 1 million creator subscriptions floating out there, then yeah, adding more customization is, you know, a viable thing to do. But again, you have to look at everything, kind of like what I mentioned with trading Leo and HBD. You know, you have to look at everything as a trade-off and a cost. You know, there's a resource cost to doing things, and there's also an opportunity cost to doing those things. So it's like, do we want to spend our time and resources building something that, you know, will benefit 5 or 10 people, you know, or do we want to make sure that we have like the core tooling in place that benefits the entire platform? Yeah,
True.
Stevenson,
Makes sense.
more numbers could sway my opinion. So go out there and get more creator subs and then come back to
Exactly.
me.
And that's the thing, you know, for like right now, $5 or whatever the price, you know, landed on really doesn't even matter. It's just flat pricing, you know, get it started, get it rolling. And then, you know, as the ecosystem grows, then changes can be made if it makes sense, you know, or changes can be made if, you know, the current price model turns out to be more of a deterrent for, you know, outside creators or, you know, vice versa. So, you know, at the end of the day, you can always pivot, and that is the beauty of tech-based things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, Self-Help for Trolls makes an argument for both sides. He says that Patreon failed because they fucked up the community and there's no way to connect with people there. But on the other hand, he says that letting people choose their own pricing will attract more creators with an existing follower base, which is what I think is most important from the onboarding front. I mean, there are arguments in favor and against it. But yeah, I tend to agree with what Carl says. If we get to 10x the user base and 10x and people start asking for this, then it can be a priority. Sunsik is saying, for me, the current 5 HBD is okay to people to start to test everything and to have revenue. And the private content is mostly freedom to share whatever you want and how many you want with no policing on the content because your audience is seeing what they are signing up to see. Yeah, and this also opens a door for, like we've been mentioning, you can actually share whatever you want. This is not a topic agnostic. It's a topic agnostic platform where you can use this subscription model to share your content, to share your personal insights, to share your calls in crypto, to share your feed picks, whatever you want. And that's the beauty of INLEO having so many content avenues where you can do threads, you can do long form content, you can do videos, and hopefully, I know it's in the backlog, but hopefully then we can also have private chats. So, I mean, the technology is there. There's a reason why subscriptions work because we can encrypt content. So it's just an extra step to encrypt messages and create a small interface for this. Where it
Joel
will
said,
be,
so how do I actually do subscriptions? Do I just toggle it in the settings? Are there any other steps? And then best practices. Yeah, so to do a creator subscription, really there's just two things. So one, you need to be premium, which you already are. And I also saw that you subscribed for a year, so thanks for that, and thanks for the support in being premium. So first of all, you subscribe to premium, and if you're premium, then one of the features you get is the ability to launch a creator sub. So then you can go to your settings page, and there's a little toggle. You click the toggle to turn it on. Once it's turned on, you'll notice if other users go to your profile page, there's a subscribe button. So users can then go to your profile, they can click subscribe, and then obviously pay the 5 HBD, and then they're subscribed for a month. And they can also choose to have it be a recurring payment or not. And then in terms of best practices, I think in art, so you can actually, and I've been leading, as an example on this front. I'll drop a link for you, but I think that you should drop an article. I think you should publish an article explaining what your creator subscription is about. And this is just a normal article, obviously not a subscriber only article. I think you should post a normal article explaining what your creator sub is about, what kind of content people can expect from you, et cetera, et cetera. It might be worth even doing one of those every couple of months just to refresh what you're offering on a regular basis. So I'm dropping the link to the blog post I made where I talk about the things that I publish in my subscriber only feed. So, and then every couple of months you can actually kind of like talk about the prior database you built up, which I know is a big thing Task has been talking about, is that, as you add content, you're actually building a whole database, so that when new subscribers come in, they can go through all the historical, sub-only content. So yeah, I would put up a blog post, just talk about what you're going to do, and then maybe talk about how to subscribe to you. Obviously, most people on the platform will already know. So yeah, you can use mine as a template if you want, and just literally copy paste and then just edit in what you are planning to do instead of what I put there. But yeah, I'm trying to lead from the front when it comes to the creator subscriptions feature. So I've been very active on mine, and I've got 26 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, shameless plug that you can go subscribe to me. Self-Help Patrol said, my biggest issue with subscriptions currently is that without the profile section devoted to subs, there's no way to tell people what kind of content they can find other than repeating it in all my posts. I'm not sure what you mean. Like if you mean a custom profile page for that. I think at some point, if you guys know, when you click the subscribe module, it has like a little pop-up. I think at some point we'll have the ability where you can edit what it says in that pop-up. So you can, like, for example, instead of just my blog post, like I could edit the subscribe button on my profile page and say, okay, well, if you subscribe to me, you get this, this, and this. And then here's the full blog post if you want to read more. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I think that'll get solved with what I just described, self-help patrols. But yeah, that's a little bit of a headache for us to develop. So we basically have to create a whole new profile section or segment. So like I said, we're doing a big profile update in December, I think is when I'm planning on doing it, and we'll include some customization there.
Yeah, I mean, I know MySpace failed, but it was pretty cool back then. I don't know if you used it. I was pretty young when I used it, so.
Dude,
But
I loved MySpace. I used
yeah,
to
it was.
spend so much time setting what song I wanted on my profile. I change it like every other day.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and I imagined that the back end was like dynamic, like so you would only need to modify the layout, but everything stays the same, all buttons stays the same, etc. But it would be cool to have like your own customizable profile where you can choose to show threads. Maybe you are not a thread creator and you just think that it's just noise for you or for your page to have the thread section there, or maybe you don't use long form posts, maybe you don't do, like, I don't know, it's just might be cool, of course, something for the future, but like, yeah, having some sort of customization would be nice. Or we could try with the community pages first and then try with the profiles.
Speaking of,
Yeah, customization is
oh,
important. I agree with that. And I want to add more themes as well into the, I put up a poll asking people what their favorite color theme was. I want to get some more I want to get some more theme colors going and then other things. Joel said, can you do sub only threadcasts? Yeah, welcome to the when club. So that is one thing that I have on the roadmap for the subscription feature is really two things. One is sub only threadcasts, and the other one is sub only mode in threadcasts and sub sorting. So for example, you'd be able to do a threadcast and hide it from people who aren't your subscribers. That would be one thing. The sub-only mode would be like everyone would be able to go to this threadcast, like what you guys are in right now, but the only people who are able to comment will be subscribers. So very similar to Twitch, and I've talked about this before, that my vision for threadcast is really to turn it into like twitch.tv live chatting, but obviously on chain. So that's kind of my long-term vision for Threadcast in general. So sub-only mode would be everyone can read and see the Threadcast. Only subscribers can actually write and post in the Threadcast, and that's subscribers to obviously the main author. And then subscriber sorting would be, you see at the top of this Threadcast, there's the author and latest toggles. We would just have a third one that would say, subscriber, yes or no. So it'd be like subscribers or not or everybody, essentially. So that's what's coming. He said when. Trump said we're tired of getting winning.
speaking of updates, I'm guessing it's probably going to be part of the big profile update. But so when you go into your dashboard, right? And obviously, you can see subscriptions that says current subscribers, but you can't tell who your subscribers are. Is there somewhere else to find that, or is that just going to be part of an update in the future where you can see who your subscribers are?
Yeah, that's going to be something we add to the dashboard later, where you can see a current list of your subscribers. And I also want to have the ability to show you a previous list of your subscribers. So if like you had a subscriber and then they subscribed for 2 months and then they dropped off and aren't subscribed anymore, it'll say that they were a past subscriber, and then you could, start tagging and bugging them to resubscribe to you. So yeah, that'll be one of the things that comes next. But if you want a workaround, and this is one of the benefits of being on chain, you can go to the @Leo subscriptions account and you can actually just go through the memos and you can search the keyword of your username, and then you'll be able to see anyone who's actually subscribed to you now or in the past. Brian Phobos said, I almost said Brian of London. Brian Phobos said, unpopular opinion, but INLEO could go full circle and add Steam and Blurt so that the content is posting there and could gain users and rewards from those chains, which could help buy Leo. Yeah, I don't know. That is an unpopular opinion. I don't know if the benefit would outweigh the negative perception that we'd get on chain. If enough people said that they thought it was a good idea, it's something I guess we could consider. I don't mind the idea. From a fundamental perspective, Hive in general should be doing that. I mean, the Hive blockchain should be figuring out how can they extract value from those ecosystems and buy Hive, which at the end of the day is what we talked about earlier, which is generate revenue and use it to buy the token. So, really use any way that you can generate revenue and build it up. And it's like I said before, making $1 is better than making $0, obviously. It's much harder to go from 0 to 1 than to go from 1 to 100. So my opinion has always been, put these revenue models in place no matter how small they might seem now, and then focus on scaling the user base once the value capture models are in place. So again, tying into the Dash integration, like we've got all these really great value capture mechanisms in place now that we didn't have before. And creator subscriptions is 2 weeks old at this point. So, we've got these models in place. Now let's figure out how we can scale the user base. And I think Dash is going to be, probably the best outlet for us in terms of doing that. So again, I'm really excited about doing all that stuff, just because I think Dash brings the thing that we don't have, which is brand recognition and a big user base. Task said this Friday's episode of the Lion's Den is going to be on Threadcast. It'll be a completely new angle to them. Yeah, and you know, if you guys remember Threadcast, I don't remember whose original idea it was. Maybe it was Task or someone else, but Threadcasts were never even meant to be a thing. I mean, it was just kind of like this random idea that someone had, and then we kind of took it and ran with it. Or Task, wasn't it like containers? I'm pretty sure Task was doing containers, and then we were just talking about how can we automate this, and then that is what ultimately became Threadcasts, if I'm remembering correctly. Self-help patrol said, I don't think anyone at Steam would notice. The place just feels like Justin Sun dripping money into it to keep it alive. It's pretty dead other than Korean language. Yeah, well, you know, that's something a whole other discussion, but like how does Tron and Justin Sun and Steam, and how are they surviving and actually in some cases doing really well? We don't really know or understand. I think a lot of people just kind of wonder how that all works exactly. Just guess who's subscribing, bro. That's funny. Well, and the other way to see it would be if people are commenting on your sub-only stuff and then you hover over their username, you can see who they're subscribed to, including yourself or other users. So like, for example, I'm hovering over Self-Help for Trolls and he's subscribed to me and Taskmaster. Yeah, here. I think I'm pretty caught up. I've been trying to stay on top of it today. Ben said he missed the start. The recording will get posted probably by tomorrow around this time, I would say. So just keep your eyes open for the recording. Mark said when NFTs soon. I think probably like Q1 or Q2 of next year. We'll look into doing like I have so many ideas for NFTs. It's insane. It's just going to have to be like a huge update that we eventually do. Again, driving everything into this revenue narrative of building a real business. NFTs will be another form of revenue for INLEO because, you know, when you guys do secondary marketplace, you know, for the NFTs, that's going to be another revenue source for the Leo token. So, you know, I think sometime next year, most likely will be when we go heavy into NFTs. But again, I have a ton of ideas for how to integrate them and to do it in a way where it's like a lot of NFTs are just kind of like you buy them, you hold them, you look at them, they're cool, whatever. But for INLEO, I have a lot of ideas for like usable NFTs, more like I would say more like in-game items where when you have an NFT, it actually does something on the platform for you. So I would say, you know, and I like to kind of create these like Web 2 metaphors for you guys because I just think it's a really easy and good way to understand things. So, you know, for Threadcast, it's twitch.tv chat. For creator subs, it's Substack. And for NFTs, it's in-game items. I would say that's probably going to be the best way to describe what I have planned. Task said, here's the alpha for Friday's show, Threadcast as a subreddit. Yeah, and if you guys don't know, the Lion's Den is a community podcast run by Taskmaster every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So check that out this Friday. Ben, I'm not sure, you know, it depends. We'll see when the time comes. You know, I'm always open to collaborating, but I also like the ability to customize things and do them, you know, my way, and the way that I have designed in my head. And sometimes that means we have to build things from scratch, but always open to figuring out how to collaborate and build together. Um, Speaking of, I've seen a lot of people ask why videos aren't working. Long form videos on /publish and then shorts have been down for about a week. So the reason those are down is 3Speak itself is down. So there's nothing we can do. I talked to their team and I know that they're working on it and they've got some things that they're working on and so we're just kind of waiting for them to get things back online, and then shorts and long form videos will be back. Would be great to see the first comment to a thread on Threadcast without clicking to open drop down menu to reveal all comments. I'm not sure what you mean. Yeah, I got inspired by tasks to begin my Threadcast. No idea how it would go, but when I dropped my first Threadcast, he said, would this be a daily thing? So yeah, it's become a daily thing. Nice, Winanda. Yeah, I think Threadcasts are a really cool use case if you're doing anything, especially if it's live and if it's a broadcast. I think it's just a natural thing. So it's a really cool way to just get people engaged. I was saying the other day that they're my favorite thing to do on the platform. I enjoy these Threadcasts really more than anything else because it's just like a live. I actually wish we did more of them every week. Like I almost wish that I had a daily Threadcast, but that would also mean that I'd have to come at a set time every day, which you guys know is difficult for me. And then obviously do like a live broadcast. So I'm happy that we at least get to do it 3 times a week, which is more than, and you can actually see that I enjoy the Threadcast because we originally only did one a week for the AMAs, and then we've tripled it, and now there's 3, and then I try to make it to every Lions Den as much as I can for at least a half hour or an hour every Friday. So I think Threadcasts are a really fun and engaging experience on the UI.
Which, speaking of, probably a good time to shout out the days and times of all the Threadcasts and lives.
Great idea. Great idea, Mitch. Yeah, so every Tuesday, noon Eastern, we have this, which is the INLEO AMA. Every Wednesday, noon Eastern, we have Chain Chatter, which is where we invite founders from other ecosystems onto the show, and we talk to them, about their ecosystem and the broader crypto space, kind of getting away from like the normal INLEO Hive topics and talking about the external world, because I think that that's a valuable thing to do, for many reasons, for our own knowledge, and then also for, actually kind of putting ourselves out there and talking about things that other people are interested in is a good way to onboard other users as well. So many good benefits to that. And then Thursday is the INLEO growth call. So that's where Eric and I sit down and we just talk about the current state of monthly active users, what we're doing to grow them, and then kind of live brainstorming with you guys on things we could be doing better and onboarding, more effectively. And then Friday is 1 p.m. Eastern. That is the Lions Den, hosted by Taskmaster. So I'd say those are kind of like the main broadcasts throughout the week. And if you guys have any Threadcasts that you run or would like to plug, drop them in the Threadcast right now, and it's Threadcastception, and I will read them off.
Yeah.
Speaking of promotions and growth, Eric set up a raid bot in the Telegram. So we've had an INLEO Telegram for a very long time, since the early days, but we never really used it because, I think our community is much more Discord heavy, because the Hive ecosystem is naturally pretty Discord heavy. And then with threads and INLEO, now we're even more heavily on chain. So the usage and use case for Telegram has never really been there for us. But I think Eric had a cool idea with this raid system. So Eric, I know you just pushed it live for the first time today. Do you want to tell people what it's about and how they can get involved in growing INLEO using it?
Yes, it basically takes like, I don't know, 1 minute every couple hours, maybe even every 4 or 5 hours, depending on how active we are on X. But the way it works is basically you join our Telegram group, which actually has like 400 users and 300 requests, which I have to go through because most of them are just spam, or they want to promote something. But I've seen many. I started accepting. We were at 700 or 600 requests. I started accepting some of them yesterday, and we're getting bulk here. But the point is simple. Telegram is very good to connect their interface to X and to organize raids. And what I mean by raids is simple. When we create a tweet or a post on X, it gets automatically shared to the Telegram, and then people get pinged. so that they know there's a new tweet. And then you just go on your phone, you connect your Telegram account to your X account through talking to the bot. It's pretty simple. And then directly from Telegram, you can like, retweet, and reply to the post. So you don't even have to go to the post on X. You don't have to open another platform. You don't even have to have X on your phone, and you're automatically engaging with the tweet. And we have said this for months and probably years, that the way that we are going to get more visibility and recognition on INLEO is by leveraging the X platform. A lot of our potential user base lives there. So if we get in front of them, it's going to be easier to attract them. And yeah, it basically takes just I don't know, probably takes like 10 seconds to do it all. And you can just set, I'm gonna share the link to the Telegram so you can so you guys can join. And yeah, I mean it's again, if we want to grow INLEO, yes, of course we have a team that pushes, that spearheads it, but the community is going to empower us and itself to actually reach higher highs in terms of adoption. So I'm sharing the Telegram here. Join the Telegram group, and it just takes a few minutes of your day. You are going to help us reach out more people, and there are some rewards involved. We were debating ourselves between giving rewards for this, because in the end, it will be people who believe in INLEO and who believe that we can grow and that we can get more users. So we were debating on this, but there will be rewards. We are considering maybe giving some votes, maybe giving some tokens, something like that. But I mean, you have to do it with conviction. You have to do it because you want to help out and you want to give, I don't know, 10 minutes of your day every day to this. But yeah, the reason we're doing all of this on Telegram is because it allows all of these automations, so that we can basically expand the visibility of INLEO on X with just a few simple steps. So I just posted the link on the Threadcast, and I will post it and pin it to the Jumbotron, so you guys can join. Where am I?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Eric was talking about. We need more activity on a lot of these initiatives and tweets and things that go out. So definitely push those, especially with Chain Chatter. I think that'll be a big one too. Obviously pushing that out to as many people as possible every Wednesday when we do that show. So yeah, I see Eric dropped the link in the Threadcast. So go join the INLEO Telegram group, and then you'll see basically it's super easy. Like I just did it this morning too. You literally just click on the bot, and then you connect your X account and you authenticate it, and then that's it. And then once you've done that, then whenever there's a raid, you just get a notification, and then you literally just click the like button and the retweet button, and then obviously if you want to comment or whatever, you can click that. And it makes it like stupidly easy. And like Eric said, I mean, it takes under a minute, and you can participate in every single, X tweet blast that we do.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that there's a leaderboard. So it's going to be very easy for us to track who contributed the most on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on a daily basis. And of course, on an all-time basis, but that's not really, I don't think it's important. But yeah, and I wish I knew about this earlier, but there are so many tools that we don't know and that I need to just jump in for Web3. And I even suggested some to Cal for INLEO where we can try to do this same thing directly on the platform. Of course, it's not a priority, but rest assured that what's the word? The R&O research and develop the R&D section of the team is working on this as well.
I'm seeing everyone's plugging their Threadcast, so let me just do a quick mention of all of them. Where are we at? Where are we at? Just getting to the start. Wait. Mamanga's conversations with AI Threadcasts. I think he usually does them every day. He said he didn't do one today, though. Wananda's got her daily Threadcast. Adam posted his keep losing things. He does a Threadcast almost every day, alternating between books and travel. Today he did a travel Threadcast or a travel cast. So that is linked in the Threadcast if you want to go follow it. And then it's obviously all these are at the top of the page too, because I'm seeing that all these users are premium. And then yeah, there's Wananda's food talk on Leo Threadcast, so you can join and talk about your food. Cool. Brando said he just got accepted to the Telegram. Tap to earn bot, or next step could be that tap to earn bot. The raid to earn, I think is what they're calling it. And then I'm also dropping a link right now since we're just in plug mode. There's a new weekly, like we're calling them like mini initiatives. And Idiosyncratic is leading the charge on those. I think he's in the audience. Yeah, I see him there. So he's leading the charge on those kind of mini initiatives. And this week is about talking about your premium experience using INLEO, obviously. So you can go check out that post. I just linked it. And basically you can submit a blog post in a thread storm and then be a participant in the what is it called? Hashtag premium experience. So I think this is a good opportunity as well. If you're obviously a Leo token holder, one of the best things you can do is promote premium and get people to subscribe to it. It's, that's, again, we talked about all these forms of revenue and building our ecosystem and the value that we capture. So this is, again, just kind of another obvious way for you to get involved and do that. So go check out the contest and then, write about your experience with INLEO Premium and why you think other people should consider giving it a shot. Yeah, help us grow the premium subscriber base. But we are at 1:40 Eastern right now. And I think we're caught up on all the questions. I've been looking through the Threadcast this whole time. Mitch, Eric, I don't know if you guys have any, things you want to mention or talk about before we close this thing out.
We're pretty caught up.
Yes,
Mitch,
my side,
let's get a Mitch Scaredy Cat plug for his creator subscription.
Ha. I mean, that's it's something that I've been pondering a lot lately. And I've obviously I said if I get X amount of subscribers, I'll start sub only publishing pieces of the financial freedom book that I plan on writing, which will be the third book I write. It's been sitting in my head for a long time, trying to find the motivation to do it. I still love the Zoom call idea. I just don't know, like at the $5 a head, where I can make that make sense. I would need more subscribers than Taskmaster to do that. And that's not a realistic goal. So yes, I don't know. It's just interesting. Either way, I mean, someone subscribes to me, they're gonna get value somehow. I always make sure I drop some kind of value add post at a minimum. If not, actively doing the book or Zoom call thing yet. So yeah. And I
um,
guess you look at it this way too. If you subscribe to anybody, right, it's a month. If you don't, enjoy what you're getting, then you don't have to subscribe the following month. So there's, good freedom on that. And since it's a low ticket item right now, probably a good time to experiment with your subscriptions, because I do believe actually one day the pricing model is going to be flexible, because we will get to a user base and a demand that makes it make sense for Cal to change his mind. So that is my prediction. That's probably a year away, I'm going to say, but assuming we do get good subscriber growth. Obviously, if we don't get good subscriber growth, then it's not a year away, it's forever away. But yeah, so I think it's smart to stay engaged enough and still focus on building subscribers, because I think there will be larger upside in the future. Um, and sadly, we need it to stay motivated, because at the end of the day, money is, you know, what we transact in. So if you want to do things, you generally need money to do them. So at some point, um, creating things is fun, especially for people that enjoy it, people that enjoy sharing knowledge. But that only goes so far. And I speak from experience, because obviously I've been doing this for decades now, where I've shared knowledge and taught people, whether it was just from the kindness of my heart, or to be a mentor, or being paid to do so. And the reality is, the quote unquote free side of it always has its limits, because you get as a human, you get burnt out. So I don't think there's anything wrong with earning for the value you provide. And and Leo is creating the framework for that, where it's kind of a win-win scenario. So still, keep the long-term view in mind, and try not to get burned out in the process, and just keep a positive outlook.
I mean, if you think about it, Kat, if you are offering, for example, mentoring, you could say, okay, every Monday after the AMA, I'll jump in a call, 1 hour call with my subscribers, and you just publish the Zoom link on your threads
Yeah.
subscriber section, and then people can join. Only subscribers can join, obviously. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the
Listen, it
ideal
makes
is,
sense.
yeah.
And and I think, and this is an idea for anybody, right? Obviously we're just using me as an example, because you guys know that, I've been in that space. But um, especially for someone that's still kind of, got a little more energy and passion, so to speak, to overserve, so to speak. And I think Cal's a fan. Alex Hormozy talks about this all the time. Like, spend like a year at least, if not longer, just delivering sick value for practically nothing. And then you build that audience. And then at that point, you can, you make the ask, where you can, like, let's say, oh, I need to switch this to subscriber based, content, or whatever it is, right? And then at that point, you get you bear the fruit of those labors. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And I think there are people in our community that should start building that snowball. And maybe it's something I will do, but I don't know. To an extent, I'm on the other side of that fence a bit. And I've done it in the past with some success and some complete failure. But yeah, I think you lead to a good point, Eric, and there is opportunity right now. There's opportunity. You just got to be willing to put in the work, and be patient, because it can be very rewarding, if the community grows the way that we hope it does.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the end, people who are into real estate can actually just subscribe to you just to get your insights on real estate. I don't know, there's so much to do. But from my
Yeah, I mean, that's
side,
an example. I mean, obviously, I invest in so many different things, and did the day trading thing, and been in crypto forever, and so on and so forth. But yeah, and that's actually a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that, though. A lot of times it's better off having a niche, um, because you know, people. I call him a mentor, a good friend. He was actually formerly trained by Tony Robbins. He used to speak at Tony Robbins events, and he said to me that a confused mind says no. So if you give people too much choice, basically they're just not going to choose. They're just going to keep it moving, move on to the next thing or the next person. And I really embrace that because I used to take pride in like knowing, being at a whatever average to good level, so to speak, in so many different topics, and try and share that. But a confused mind says no. You're often better off just focusing on one thing and being the master of that space.
Definitely. I agree
So
with
yeah,
that.
and
Um,
that's you know my random general knowledge share for the AMA.
Wananda said she sent a request to join the Telegram group. Um, so Paw Patrol said my Leo Substack bridge may take a while, but I think it'll bring at least a handful of power users over time. Yeah, I think the whole creator subscriptions model can bring a lot of new users that would have otherwise not touched, the Hive blockchain in general and a platform like INLEO. They want a more clear path to earning, and a little bit more predictability to their income. I think one of the biggest stress points I've heard of people on Hive in general and just on social media as well is there's an unpredictability to how much you make. And especially with Hive being all upvote based up until now that InLeo has kind of innovated this new way to earn with your content. Everything prior to now has been upvote based. So if you wanted to earn for your content on Hive, you had to, hope the right people saw it and, get some people voting you and kind of maintain certain relationships in order to, maintain those voting patterns. But ultimately, those votes can just go away at random without much, without warning and sometimes without any logical, reason. Sometimes they just go away for, no reason at all. And that's just the nature of the upvoting system. So I think that the creator subs creates a whole new kind of niche in this market where now you can, in addition to having, the 7 day payout window and being able to post your normal content, now you can also paywall some of the content and have some predictability to your income. I think it's a dream for a lot of people on Hive to be able to live off the income you make on Hive. But at the end of the day, you can't live off of unpredictable income. So, if someone's able to come in here from, another country, especially, and make $250 a month from creator subscriptions, then I think that that's a really powerful thing because it's so predictable and it's something that they can actually rely on, as kind of like a monthly paycheck that comes in. So yeah, I'm a huge believer in the potential of this creator subscription model, whether you're, an existing Hive creator or someone from the outside looking in and saying, how can I, earn something for my content on the blockchain? Brando said, is Chain Chatter tomorrow or on Thursdays? It's every Wednesday, so tomorrow. And then on
Oh,
Thursdays, we do the Growing in Leo call.
and some update on this. Tomorrow we are having a person who started in crypto as just an investor, as a user. Then he became kind of popular, and then he opened his calls channel where he shares alpha, and now he recently took over a meme coin. So it's a kind of an interesting story of how he made a name for himself and why did he decided to go down this route, because he was mainly on utility. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get those announcements and the space scheduled shortly after we jump off of the AMA. So keep your eyes open for that. I'm sure Eric will have it posted in the Telegram as well. So make sure you join the Telegram group and get everything set up on that end. And with that, thanks, Mitch. Thanks, Eric. I don't know if you guys have any closing plugs. Otherwise, thanks and have a good day, everybody.
You too, guys.
Indeed.
Go join
See you
Telegram.
guys. Yeah,
Absolutely.
go get on the Telegram.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you.